Good evening.
Good evening.
And yeah, a very warm welcome to that's a chillier country.
Absolutely. So I think some people noticed, some people didn't. We changed our previously scheduled programming because this was originally at the beginning of the year when we put things together. This was going to be our Chile and Uruguay tasting.
It was.
All things together, all a bit South American.
And then you got carried away by an aeroplane. In fact.
Exactly. And anyone who has wanted to listen to me in the last 6 weeks has heard nothing but guess where I was, guess where I was, guess where I was. And surprisingly enough, I was in Chile and Uruguay. And it was just awesome. And I'm really I don't want to be like Alex, I went on honeymoon to South Africa, like we go. And I don't want this to become like a holiday show from Jamie. But it really does. When you get to the places and you get in the vineyards with the people, drinking the wine, with the food, the whole thing, it brings it all together. So I'm hoping I can share a little bit of that with everyone today. So yeah, should be lots of fun. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, it's lovely to see some new people.
Yep.
For those of you who've been here loads and loads of times, thank you for continuing to deal with me and Alex on a monthly basis. So yeah, people for the first time. We've also got Slido, which enables you to pop in your own tasting notes. Chilean badges. Who doesn't love a Chilean badger? So you've got Slido that you can either scan the QR code, go to Slido and put in 389.
Oh yeah, I haven't done the /taste today, so I'd use that QR code that's on the
He's
screen.
not done the /taste.
Oh,
look at that.
Right, go away for 2 weeks and you forget it all.
For those who say poor me, Chile was a work trip. Alex has just got back from the other part of America.
Well, do you know what? And there's something quite funny about this, but Chile and Texas have something quite big in common with each other, and that's really the majority of their flag.
You might get slightly confused. It's just where the red line ends and begins.
Yeah.
You've decided you're going to put this on now.
I'll see if I can find that. Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, so while he messes around to put up a picture that we didn't discuss we were going to do at the beginning, let's get wine number one into the glass. So, when we talk about Chile, and I think what I really want to show, on this tasting is Chile it's got so much going on. I think sometimes we think it's the cheap supermarket Merlot that's $6.99 and it is what it is, and lots of bulk juice. And there is absolutely lots of bulk, quaffable, easy drinking juice, does what it does. But there is also some really, really magical winemaking, some great people doing lots of fun things.
I mean, come on, they're pretty similar. But to demonstrate, and Chile, as we have spoken about in the past, is a very long, thin country, and so it covers a wide range of the latitudes.
Absolutely, you're going 2,600 miles north to south in Chile. So you've got the Pacific coast on one side, you've got a desert in the north, you've got glaciers in the south, and you've got some rather large mountains on the other side.
That's Andy. Oh no, that's Andes. That's the Andes. That's the one.
Surely that's meant to be my joke, isn't it? It's that bad. That should be my joke. But what that means is a lot of Chile, all the wines, a lot of the wines are on their own root stock. They've never had phylloxera in Chile, and it's a place that makes wine like nowhere else. It's very much its own style. And the first one we start with is Sauvignon Blanc. Are you working on definitions?
I'm just checking that it's okay. It looks all right from what I can see, the video. But if you're having, let me tap that. Let's see what that does. Force it to 1080p.
He's upped his definitions. Look at that. Sure,
still looks the same here. So let us know if we look a little bit more HD.
We're probably a bit better blurry.
Yes, that's true. Bit like my brain after the jet lag of the flights.
Yes, but there we go. So what we're starting with, this is Casa Santiago, and this is their Sauvignon Blanc from a wine called Vinho Requingo. We're going to do another wine from them a little bit later on. This wine has kind of a little bit of a special place in my heart. For the sheer fact, when we had the little wine shop in Tring and we had our 36 days before we started, then went into lockdown, this became the wine of lockdown for me. It was, how many cases of Casa Santiago Sauvignon Blanc could I fit in the back of a Mini and drive around Tring and deliver to people? It was mental. We went from, buying a couple of cases for opening to buying it, by the pallet, hundreds of bottles at a time.
There was a lot, yeah.
But what these guys do at this level, and dive in and get tasting, is this range. There's Sauvignon Blanc, there's Merlot, there's Cabernet, there's Pinot Noir, and they are all just absolutely delicious, fruit-driven, easy drinking wines that offer, I think, really good value for money. Do we look all right?
It does look a little bit blurry on the video, which is strange because it looks perfect on the screen. It's all the settings are right, so not quite sure what's going on, but hopefully it will resolve itself. That would be ideal. I will continue to keep tweaking, but yes. Anyway, we're there and it's working, so I will keep having a little play. But yeah, so you can go all the way up to the Atacama Desert. You can all the way down to the sort of the glaciers of the south of the country, and we're staying mostly in that Central Valley because this is the key part of the wine production region, and
it is,
and there's more variety than people expect.
Absolutely, that absolutely is. You go, oh, you're just in this bit. This bit is massive. You're like 3 hours north to south in the Central Valley. Hey, we sound great. And that's what really matters. No one's ever worried about us looking great, Rich. As long as we're sounding.
To be honest,
okay,
the camera could be working perfectly. Well, it seems to be, but yes. Anyway, we're here.
Exactly.
And the wine tastes good. The wine is still in full HD, 4K, or whatever it is. But yes,
exactly. So we've got, if you go into your little thing, so we've got a couple of images of Requinga. As you dive in here, look, this is where I've done things probably nearer the bottom, actually. Yeah, that one there. So
that's a substantial barrel. Really.
So yeah, this was one of my favourite pictures we took, though. So that's the group of us are hiding in between the barrels in the barrel. So they've got barrels, they've got massive stainless steel tanks at the back. They've got these concrete eggs. So the Casa Santiago is kind of the entry level for them. That's the bread and butter. And then that allows them to do the other stuff like the Torrón de Piedra and the Porto Pedro that we'll talk about a little bit later. But we have, hey, because we've been there and we talked to people, we've got a little Casa Santiago video from one of the winemakers. So we'll just pop this on for a minute and give her take on what the wine tastes like.
That makes sense.
Hello, everyone. I am Filipa Morgal, winemaker, and I'm here to talk about Sauvignon Blanc. An aromatic grape has found in the Chilean valleys an exceptional terroir where it can express its full potential. Our Casa Santiago, his citric notes in the nose, green apples with a hint of fresh herbs. In the mouth, good acidity and a central body. I hope you enjoy.
Well, that said exactly what it needed to.
Absolutely. And, sometimes there's wines that don't need masses of complexity, masses of story, masses of layers, that you need to write 27 pages on, tasting notes or what it is. Sometimes you want a wine that is just bright and fresh and delicious.
Yeah, I think it's just a cracking example of a great value but quality Sauvignon Blanc. It's expressing what it wants to do. It's not. You wouldn't mistake it for a New Zealand one, would you?
Not at all. And I think that's the thing with Sauvignon Blanc is it really does take on its centre place. When you think of a wine that picks up its terroir, you compare Sancerre to Marlborough to coastal South Africa to different places in Chile. They're always very, very, very different. So yeah, this kind of showcases, and you look at the tasting notes, lots of lemon, lots of lime, lots of citrus, lots of lovely freshening, and this is just that really nice and easy. Have it in the sunshine, share it with friends, without having to get too overexcited about it.
And it's a great baseline show where they build their quality ranges from. So yeah,
I think sometimes that's the interesting thing that when you've got these larger scale wineries, and when we walked into a Requinga, what what's really cool. We were lucky enough. We stayed on the property, so they've got a load of houses on the property where a lot of the families stay and the workers stay, and we were lucky enough to stay. And it was kind of get up in the morning and walk across the road, and we're at the winery. And you walk into the front, and it's this old wooden sign, and it's all kind of looks quite rustic. And you think, oh, this is a small little wine. And you walk around, they've got this little museum bit that's got like an original cheese press and a tractor that they bought in the 60s. And this, oh, isn't this a nice little wine? And then you go behind the curtain and you go, oh, this is a very large commercial winery of what it does. So out the front, you go, oh, this is tiny. This is tiny. And you go, and there's something, tanks there, and lorries coming in, and just tens of tons of Pinot Noir just kind of like being pushed. And you look at that and go, how well put together it is. But what's interesting is, you've got multiple winemakers there, but Benoit Fite, who's the head winemaker there, puts in as much care into the Casa Santiago. Like when we were there, they were just starting doing some of the first runs, and the first lorry came in, and I can't remember whether it was Sauvignon or I think it was Pinot Noir, and looked at it's like far too much leaf off the vine. So they call back out to the vineyard and go, can we change that on the machines? Can we change that on the machine? So they're checking, and they had that level of quality at this level, a 9-10 quid bottle of wine. So imagine the level of care at their very, very top end. And they do fun things. We've not got it on this tasting, but we should get some at some point. They've got a wine called Lacu, and you don't know what the blend is. So they have a load of people come in and they taste through like what they think is the 70 best barrels, and it's done by vote what this wine's going to be, and you only know what's in it when you open it, because the blend is written on the inside of the cork.
What? That's crazy.
So, and we stayed with the family. We had dinner with the family. It was the hospitality was beyond anything. And just really, really good wine.
And it's a winery we've featured a few times, but it is still family owned even now with that scale, which is quite rare. So often they become part of big winery groups, and I think when you get to that point where the big winery groups come in at that sort of bottom end, it just all tends to be very much. I mean, yes, you might still get the advantages of a modern winery and some of those better tools, but there can be a certain amount of sort of, I don't want to say they don't care about that entry level of wine that they make, but they care less, obviously.
It's more fit the recipe, and if it's not, I think a lot of times when you have the very entry level wines, you make your juice, and once it's crushed, you then make adjustments as you need to. This, it seems, the purity of fruit, and from the very beginning to the very end, there's a level of care and a level of attention to detail, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
And it's all very clean winemaking that's going on, and it's about preserving the natural flavors of the grapes. So if we're into our WSET categories, this is very much your classic definition of those predominantly primary flavors, the fruits that you see, like the lime, the green apple. But also Sauvignon is one of those grapes where there is certainly a little bit of magic that goes on with regards to it's better to do the machine harvesting. Like most grapes, most winemakers you'll find say we hand pick our grapes in the vineyard. With Sauvignon Blanc, particularly in that sort of more New World style, it actually is a better thing to bash it around a bit and get the skins sort of going, and putting a lot of these. And that it's not the flavors that we directly taste in the glass. It's the precursors to those flavors that are then sort of acted on by the whole fermentation process to do that. So the New Zealanders did a huge amount of research into yeast strains to do, into temperatures to ferment at, and into the grape handling itself to make such an attractive product. But I think some of those New Zealand ones became like almost pastiches of themselves. Like I kind of, let's if these are the 4 defining flavors that give us our character, let's just do those. Let's turn them up to 11. And this is much more balanced, much more enjoyable, sippable stuff. But I think it is ultimately, like Kathy says, it's a very nice everyday drinking, nice aperitif. It's not particularly food wine. This is I'd love a cold glass of something delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that
End of the
is
day,
perfect.
it's the equivalent of just wanting a a cold lager at the end of the day. It does what it does.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. Anyway, should we have a quick last look at the tasting notes and then?
And that's an excellent point. The machine harvesting, particularly when you're in these slightly hotter environments on the plains of the Central Valley, you want to get those grapes in quickly before it starts heating up and doing starting to
Do things
do
you don't
things
want it
that you
to.
don't want it to in the harvester. So when the grape harvest comes along, it has these two large rubber belts, which have got basically a conveyor belt that they go from above the vine all the way to underneath it. And obviously, there's one on the left and one on the right of the trunks as you're going along. And then it has these vibrating plastic fingers, which just wobble the vine, wobble it quite a lot so that all the grapes fall off. But you tend to get the whole cluster of grapes falling off. So you do get some berries separating. It depends how good your harvester is, but yeah, they drop down, then they get carried around to the top, where you'll quite often find a lot of the more advanced mechanical harvesters have got those optical sorters built in. So where he's saying adjust those settings, he's literally they're talking to the people who are driving the tractor
To make sure there's
make sure that
there's no bikes in there.
yeah, no bikes, no snakes, yeah, and sure enough, yeah, you have blowers that try to blow away the leaf content and anything that they call MOG, material other than grapes, which is it's all about trying to reduce those things. So they go over these sorting things, which basically just select things that are supposedly grape sized, and a lot of them do the destemming at that point as well, to then do the sorting. But yeah, they're fascinating machines, really cool to see, and they do a great job. There's a place for machine harvesting, there's a place for hand harvesting.
It is, and
different styles of wine.
there's so many different things in wine, and every winemaker will tell you it depends. And the reason people do things
Helpful.
is because that's what they want at the end. And if you are hand harvesting this,
it would cost more.
Yeah.
Even with Chilean labour.
The style would be different. It would cost more.
Yeah.
It would taste different. You wouldn't get that. So those things are picked for a reason. That's what they do. So anyway, should we move on to wine
I've lost a button.
numero dos?
That's where I put my thing on. Yes, numero dos.
So we are heading to Colchagua.
Mhm.
So when we were at Requingo, we were kind of in Curico, right? And then to get to Colchagua, we had to drive south. And then we had to drive north. Because you've got these big bloody mountains, haven't you? And you can't just nip across them. So you kind of got to go down, come across, and then go back up again to get to wherever you need to get to. And it's the scenery is stunning. It's you can go to a lot of wine regions and you look in the right direction and it looks beautiful. Yeah. And then you look behind and you go, what's that? Chile, it's 360 degrees magnificent. You've got the Andes one side, you've got the coastal range the other. If you're on the top of the coastal range, you're seeing the Pacific Ocean. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's there's this like lush green forest, but then it's very arid as well. It's this whole and flying in, and it was my first time to South America. So I was a little bit awestruck flying in over the Andes, still capped with snow as you went in, and then come down into Santiago quite abruptly. That you go, it was absolutely phenomenal, and not like anywhere I've ever been. So we headed from Cruzeiro down to Colchagua, and this is from Francois Leton. So Leton has a holding in Chile, and it has another one in Argentina. And this is the Clos de Lol, because it's in the Lolo Valley, which is the little Dio. It's its own little area. The fact it's got lol on it is great for everyone.
Yeah, well, what
around.
can we say? Yeah.
But these guys do sustainable, biodynamic, all that good stuff. And it was interesting to hear someone talk, because a lot of the biodynamics that I hear about, people are like, we are or we aren't. And there's more and more people like these guys go, we've learned that this part of biodynamics is great,
and
this part less so, but we still follow it.
Yep.
But we know we are. And we went, and once again we can go. We've got some little pictures here. They've got this little hut at the bottom of the vineyard. I think it just says bio huts.
Bio calendar. Oh, there's a bio calendar.
So this is in the hut that they've got their little they've got their little calendar where they're marking their root days and their fruit days and when they should harvest and when they should pick. But you know, Thibaut is very much, you can't live by that calendar, because if it says pick and you go out and you look at the grape and they're not ripe, you can't pick.
No,
you've got to have a bit of sensibility about it. But then you've got this little hut in there that, and you know, that's where they make all their treatments, all their preparation 500, and they've got these little things on the wall that it's mixing, you know, deer heart with something and this and it doesn't sound. I'm like, who in the first place put those things together? I think that's a good idea, you know, and making them. I think the one that most people know is the preparation 500, which is the manure in the cow horn
buried in the ground,
buried in the ground,
to rot down.
So there's got to be something of it, because people who are doing it are making good, healthy vines.
But I don't believe any of it comes down to the astrology. that's me. That's just me. I mean, I don't believe, you know, the zodiac has much to do with it. I am possibly in a minority in the wine industry on that, but because, you know, I've spoken to lots of professionals who absolutely swear if you taste wine on a fruit day versus root day, even just the tasting of it will perform differently. But then, to be honest, I think you can taste the same wine on different days of probably the same stage of the calendar. They'll taste different, because if you taste a wine on different days, it's so affected by what mood you're in. Like the flavor of wine is affected by the music you listen to. You know, there's so many factors that go into it.
So what we got here?
Anyway,
we're another Sauvignon Blanc, but with a bit
cynical,
but bit Chardonnay and a little bit of Viognier in there.
Oh, okay. The Viognier, you do. There's just a little lift there, isn't there? So when you've got those floral aromatic varieties, you don't need to put much in to just really give a little bit.
But as much as it's lovely for me to sit here and talk,
yeah,
while I was over there, I got to play with a drone. So I've made a video.
Oh my word!
Can we play my video?
I can do. We've just got a couple of points here. So Kathy makes a very good point, which is that just in general, you have to take more care with the grapes. You can't just rely on pesticides and herbicides and fungicides.
And I think Kathy's point here is important. I think anything where you're doing organic or biodynamic or something where you have to follow a pattern, you are paying more attention to what you're doing. Yeah. And therefore, if you're paying more attention, your attention to detail is going to be better. You're going to end up with a better product. But hey, I'm not going to say it's not real.
But you should have gone to Argentina. That's a very good point. Like while you were over there, because it wasn't the Condor team who Jeremy went with had just spent a week in Argentina. So you met up with them and with a group of your people on the second half of the visit. So on this occasion, we didn't get to go to Argentina.
Didn't have time for it. We skipped Argentina and went straight to Uruguay.
Yeah, indeed. But another just little question here while we're busy drinking wine and enjoying it and putting tasting notes. Are we planning on doing any more cheese and wine pairings? Because every wine we've had since last month's tasting, how brilliant that Briat Savarin went with everything. Yeah.
So there's two things, and it kind of, as we popped it on at the end of last month's tasting, was, would you like to have a cheese pairing option? You know, I think twice a year we try and do a wine and cheese or a wine and food kind of thing. We are happy if you want us to either have the option to supply it, or just if you want us to,
each month,
you know, if it would be helpful for us to pop on the website, hey, with this month we'd recommend this and this and this, we can do that as well. So if that makes you happy, tell us what you want.
There is something else that I'm doing as well, which I have just signed up to as a birthday present, actually, a charcuterie through the post subscription. So I will be judging that and seeing if that might be quite a good pairing. So I love the idea of the sort of partnership options. But anyway, Jamie's made this video, so we should probably play it, shouldn't we? Which one is this? This is
Hacienda.
Hacienda. Well, enjoy his drone footage.
Hacienda Araucano is located in Clo de Lolo, a secluded corner of Chile's Colchagua region. Surrounded by native forests and cooled by the coastal winds, This estate is just 25 kilometers from the Pacific Ocean. The soils here are a mix of granite, schist, and clay. Ancient and poor in nutrients, these conditions limit vine vigour and concentrate flavour, making the site ideal to produce complex, fresh wines with strong varietal character. While red varieties like Syrah and Carmenere are grown here, Clos de Lol is particularly well known for its famous white blend, a carefully balanced white wine made from Sauvignon Blanc, Viognier and Chardonnay. Each variety is harvested and vinified separately using biodynamic practices. The Sauvignon Blanc brings freshness and a citrus lift. Viognier adds floral aromas and stone fruit notes. The Chardonnay provides weight, texture and aging potential. The cool climate and extended ripening period allow the grapes to develop full flavour while retaining bright, natural acidity. Fermentation and aging often take place in stainless steel and neutral tanks to preserve purity and texture. The result is a white wine that reflects the environment, vibrant, layered and mineral driven, with subtle complexity from both the blend and the land that it comes from. It's not just a vineyard, it's a carefully preserved ecosystem. Sustainability and precision come together to express the full potential of wonderful, wonderful Chilean wine.
Well, that was very cool.
So I just think, saying beautiful 360 degrees without showing it is insane. But yeah, there's lots of techniques using here. We've got blended grapes. Then they use ceramic amphoras.
Yeah.
Then they use some oak. But so this is and when I said Francois Lurton, I didn't mention it earlier. So this is of the Bordeaux Lurton family. So they've been doing it for a little while.
There's definitely, I think you find it with a lot of the biodynamic wines, there is that very kind of rustic, a little rustic note that goes into it. And yeah, that absolutely goes with it. When you're trying to reduce your use of preservatives to kill microbiology that you bring in with this and just control it all, when you release that, you become a little bit more natural. But yeah, I think it's fascinating that they're combining this use of steel and ceramic amphorae, and also first and second use oak barrels as well. So there's a lot of things going on. And when you compare it, to the first one, which was just that beautiful, clean, precision thing, this has got much more character and depth to it. Really, really interesting. Kathy liked to cook along in my garden. Yes, that was good. It didn't actually help us very much, but it was great fun. And
we spent more time editing than we actually did.
Yeah, we did.
But I think the point, what I loved about being out there is the drone footage. It just, you can sit and talk about steep hills or mountains or this, and to be able to pop that together and be able to share that with people is amazing. And with that drone footage, that viewing platform is like halfway up the mountain, and they've built that viewing platform into the side, so you just walk up and you're looking down at the winery. Cool. They've got a swimming pool because that's what's important. And just these guys are quite a small winery compared to Requingrid. They're not massive. It's like going up to a large farmhouse.
Well, I think when you if we're comparing wine 1 and wine 2, that wine 1 was definitely in that New World Sauvignon Blanc style, not quite into the really, really big New Zealand style, but this is very much more kind of, dare I say it, Bordeaux-like. And given the Francois Lurton, his family have come from Bordeaux and they've got a lot of heritage in that area. He's using they're using blends of Sauvignon Blanc and other things.
And it's a much more textural style.
More textural, a bit of oak on there, a bit of vanilla. Let's have a look at that tasting notes.
More complex.
More complex. And I had a fabulous...
But I think that just comes... We've got more to talk about with this wine.
Yes, yeah, quite.
It's got this and that and the other. Whereas a Cassian Targa is crisp, it's clean, it's fresh, it's delicious. It's that this, more of a food wine. You know, if you're having something, you know, some meaty fish, some scallop or some ceviche or something like this, this is lovely. Some chicken.
Yeah. Of course, being French, their family, they recommend a bit of foie gras with it, which I don't think would work too badly at all. So,
or while
yeah.
in Chile it was steak with red meat goes with everything.
Well, quite
Even
right,
down add
yeah.
some more red meat.
Yeah, Jamie came back pretty much sweating red meat. It was hilarious. Like I don't know if you've got any of your foodie pictures here, but yeah, drone footage is wonderful, and so it's always great when we can get out to places and when they actually let you do these things, which is always a bit of a mix and match. We had to buy a lighter drone so that it could get within the 250 gram weight limit that seems to be there. But yeah. I'm glad to hear the video has sorted itself out a bit. I'd love to claim credit for it, but there wasn't anything different that we did.
You put my lovely video
Exactly,
on,
yeah.
and the computer thought it needed to catch up.
Quite right. But yeah, that's delicious. I really like that. It's fruity. It's complex. It's just enjoyable and serious and in beautiful balance there, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just good. It's just good. Right.
In terms of the climate of the region there, or you went out in sort of autumn time when they were doing a lot of the winemaking.
So
weren't they?
it's warm. It's warm. It's 26, 28 degrees. And it drops a little bit in the evening, you know.
Okay.
Just like the first evening after being out in the sun, it wasn't cold, but you're like, ooh,
yeah,
like jacket kind of thing. Not because it wouldn't feel that, but because of the temperature difference. So you got that kind of diurnal shift coming through that you feel it cooling down in the evening. But it was hot, sunshiny, 28 degrees, lovely. Like I don't want to get into it, like compared to Uruguay where it was 32 degrees and still 30 degrees at midnight.
Yeah.
But because you're coastal and you've got altitude and you've got the breeze coming through, you get that change. Whereas Uruguay is very flat and it's on the coast without the mountain range. Therefore, it just
and kind of going against the prevailing winds, a lot of them. So yeah, no, it's really interesting because as Jamie said, I've just been in Texas, which has the remarkably similar flags to Chile, but the diurnal shifts were astonishing there, and I really thought it was going to be exactly like you just described Uruguay. But where we were in Texas Hill Country, which is definitely where a lot of the wine industry is based, you'll be shocked to hear Taylor went to where the wineries are. It was going from sort of 32, 33 in the day, even now in quite early spring, but right down sort of 12 degrees at night. So you've got a huge diurnal shift, and so they were using that for a lot of cool winemaking as well. So yeah. I don't know what to take away from that other than Texas is closer to Chile than it is to Uruguay. There you go. Top tip. Some people have moved on to wine number 3, so I think perhaps we should do the same. I think that feels a good plan. We're on to the reds now, aren't we?
We are indeed. Can I have a glass? Thanks, sir.
You may.
Okay.
Let's have one last look at that. But yeah, it's beautiful things like the light cheese, those stone fruits, the tropical fruits like grapefruit and pineapple. I love the whoever's put in sweet popcorn. Yeah, that beautiful buttery kind of toasty combination that you get there. That is a wonderful one. And I like roast pepper. There is definitely that kind of herbaceous quality to it as well. Not huge amounts, but more floral from that Viognier. And yeah, a little bit earthy as well, just because it's a funky, naturally made, relatively speaking, wine. Not completely sulfite free, because that tends to lead to all sorts of things going wrong. Anyway, I shall move this on to wine number 3 and stop gibbering. Cabernet Carmenere.
Absolutely. So we are still in the Colchagua Valley.
Oh, daggers out. I preempted him. It's all over, is it? Yeah. Okay, excellent.
So this is Dagas made by Marco Puyo. And I was lucky enough, I met Marco, it must be a couple of years ago now, at a wine dinner in London. And just the way he talks about wine and Chile and sense of place, and it's about the terroir and the soil, and the grapes are given to him to make wine with.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting. There was different wineries who have different theories on what's important. You'll have one winery making great wine that goes soil's really important, and another winery that goes soil means nothing. It's just grapes come out of it,
quite,
and they're both making spectacular wines.
You could grow the same grapes in, I don't know, some techie like hydroponic system. Yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
You probably could, but yeah.
But what was really cool? So we went out, drove out there, and what we found is we were following a pin on a map, because where we were going didn't actually have an address. So we got this minibus out to the middle of nowhere, and the bus stopped at the bottom, and these two 4x4s came down. I think
this wasn't the one with you in the back of the
I think surprisingly enough, there might be a picture of that as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
So these couple of 4x4s came down and took us up.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. So you're literally in the back of a truck.
Actually, in the back of a pickup to get up this mountainside. So Marco's got this little almost like bunker cabin, which I think would be the best Airbnb on the planet. At the top of the vineyard, he stays there a few nights a week, tending his grapes.
I'm playing in this hole.
But I think this is so he had dug that out that day because we were coming.
Is he actually a badger?
It had been dug previously.
Okay.
And then it was dug again for us to by hand. Because to try and get machinery up there is like not doing it. But this was because this here is all granite soils. It's all granite.
Okay.
And he's dug this hole down, and you can see the roots of the vines get down to the bottom, because where he stood on those bits of wood, underneath the wood is what, do you think?
Granite?
Water.
Okay, right. Sorry.
But do you see how far down he is?
That's a long
So
way
how
down.
far do the vines have to go?
So he's approximately a good height for a man. So probably about like 5'7", 8". I'd say,
Absolutely. So
about the right height for a person.
So you're pushing these vines need to get almost 6 feet down to get water.
Yeah.
But what that showcases, they're there. So when there's lots of water, they're great anyway, and when there's not lots of water, they can still thrive. But it's all this decomposed granite, and you can tap the side with a little hammer, and it kind of crumbles away. And it was really cool just to kind of see those lines. And it's not great in the picture, but you can see all the roots of the vines kind of coming down through. Yeah. And what's important about this granite being decomposing is there's air gaps. Yeah, if it's solid rock, the vines can't go anywhere. Yeah, so it's got to be this decomposed granite, so the vines can kind of wind their way through to get down to where they need to get to. Because granite, you would think that's very, very hard and you can't go anywhere with it. But this decomposed stuff, as it is there. And, Chile is some of the oldest rock formation in the world.
Okay. Did just after he had dug that hole, did a bunch of people come along and start then digging out more of it and create an underground swimming pool with the water slide and like a little house that you could go into?
Unfortunately not.
Because that's what my son spends his life watching in YouTube videos these days. When he's not watching.
Unfortunately, but so this is Dagas, and they started in 2015, and Dagas is the word is from an old Celtic rune to be of a new path.
Which presumably is that shape that's on the label.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
What's kind of, and we're just talking about, names and things like that. It's such a global name. Sometimes you get wine from a non-English speaking country and people are scared to order it because they're like, how do I pronounce this? I can't say, Aaron Cunha, I can't say Toro de Piedra, whatever it is. Dagas, that's easy. It's global. It goes everywhere.
That is true. Yeah, vineyards hard to find. Google Maps absolutely unreliable. I think that is a great description. Do you know what? It's not even. I think I'm sure that is probably more common in South America, but there've been plenty that I've been to, which has just been like kind of. Where are we going to the right place now? Where the heck are we actually going? And then suddenly there's just like middle of nowhere. Here they are planted up, and yeah, it's great to see. We went. I I went hunting for various different vineyards in Santa Barbara County before you turned up, and I felt like I was going on a magical mystery tour. But absolutely, I think you've got to be with the people, and some of them are very historic.
So yeah, so this is he makes lots of cool wines, and this is his El Camino Cuvée.
This is the one that we tried a few weeks ago, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you gave me a sneak preview.
I gave you a sneak preview, and I told you guess the price, and you were very, very wrong. And I should have sold it.
I was wrong.
I should have sold it all to you at the price that you thought it was worth, and I would have had a load of money.
I think that's cracking.
So lovely. This is it's a Cabernet Carmenere blend, and this is what he works with. You know, he's got some other holdings. He's got a place down in Itata, which is all the way in the south, where he makes a wonderful, wonderful pais that we got to taste. But this is his bread and butter, his Carmeneres, his Cabernet Sauvignons. And I just think this is brilliant. And I like countries to stand for what they stand for and what they make. But if you had a cab like this, and I don't want to kill it before we do the pricing, but if you had a cab like this and it came from Napa Valley, what would you pay for it? If it was a cab coming from Bordeaux, what would you pay for it? And I think, you know, you would pay 3 or 4 times the price.
Oh, at least
that this is for the quality. So yeah, 70% cab, 30% Carmenere. And once
it's
again,
funny though, isn't it? Because like people think Carmenere and Merlot are really quite similar, and of course Cabernet and Merlot are classic blends from the Bordeaux region. But I think someone else picked this out as well, and they said it's quite Rhone-like in its flavour profile, and I absolutely agree. It really is, and
which is interesting with it being 2 Bordeaux grapes, because obviously
Carmenere
was Bordeaux's 6th red varietal back in the day. Kind of got lost, but you know, when it first came over to Chile, a lot of people thought they were bringing Merlot cuttings over and didn't realise that they had Carmenere until quite recently with DNA testing. But that explains why it doesn't taste like Merlot.
But the Rhone also has these granitic soils as well, and a bit of the water influence. Well, I mean, so does Bordeaux. But so I can potentially we're actually there, maybe tasting some of the influence of that soil into this. So that's I think that's a very cool thing to do. But it's rich, it's fruity, it's complex, it's delicious, it's well balanced. It's, you know, yes, it's still a relatively young wine at this point, but it's great. You know, I would drink this quite a lot. So shall I can you,
because I just like across I'm not picking friends here, but I just think the packaging's really nice. It's elegant, it's well made. What's really just for a fun fact, so in the UK market it's called El Camino. They had to relabel it for the American market because a Camino is a truck, and it's like people are like, why have you got the name of an American truck on your wine? So it's just called it's just a Dagas Cuvée over there. It doesn't have the Camino name. But you know, just that, and we'll bring the other one in. But just, you know, this is the one we're going to taste later. Just you can swap that. You can just see there's, you know, a nice theme on it. You can see that they're different. You know,
nice feeling labels
all around the edge. So looking at this is the vineyard, yeah, around the edge of the.
Oh, cool! I see.
So that's the vineyard map that
oh, nice.
I may or may not have a drone shot of later.
That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So really nice, really elegant.
And then zoom out, because that's enough of the close up on us.
Exactly. They said we've got HD again. Zoom. But I just think it's an absolutely beautiful bottle of wine. And I think, and I'm not meant to pick favourites, but I'm going to pick favourites. For Chile, I think this was the best value for money wine I tasted. I absolutely loved it. And it is in the just open it and drink it price point.
It's got beautiful fresh acidity. It's mouth-watering. It's smooth. The tannins have been allowed to kind of integrate. You know, it had 10 months in oak barrels, so which is a good time, but it's not a huge amount of time. But it's done what it needed to. I think for me that probably means that they've been relatively gentle with the extraction. Particularly as we're talking about Cabernet, they probably let it get quite nice and ripe so that, you know, we weren't getting any bitterness or anything, any stringency going into it, but it's smooth and yet it's full of character. It's got enough tannin to go with a good bit of red meat, isn't it? So yeah, what is it? What's the Sorry, what's the grill thing called?
Asado.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Getting my Portuguese confused in there. So that's
Lots
that
of
was
asado. So this we didn't asado. We had a I think once again.
Have you got a picture?
Of course, I got a picture. So this is at the top of the hill.
You had
They've
a
got
carcass.
This 5 pittage dugout. You can see once again over in front of you. That's the coastal ranges. So that's the little mountains.
Okay.
The Andes would have been behind. But yeah, this is in the top in the middle of the vineyards by his bunker. Just this dugout 5 pit. We had a bit of a tasting, and then before dinner we just sat round in there on a wine trip, a couple of Heinekens.
Yeah, naturally, yeah. And then you ritualistically sacrificed a local person.
So we're sat in there, and the chef is coming in, and he's just cutting the lamb ribs out on the fire,
it's lamb.
and just handing it to. So we just sat around the fire eating lamb ribs straight off the lamb. And then it came to us finally on a plated dinner. It's like a little risotto with the lamb on the top. It's really good, really good.
I think paella was what I was trying to say. So yes, I feel less dumb now. That's good to know. Yes. That must have been quite an experience, mustn't it?
It was, and it was great. We did everything from eating lamb in a hilltop vineyard to a fine dining restaurant to having a barbecue in, the owner of Requinga's back garden, and then sharing a bottle of whiskey afterwards. It was just absolute. The hospitality couldn't. And I know we're lucky because I got taken there on a wine trip, and we're seen as buyers, so we're special for one of them.
Yeah.
But they don't have to give up. They could give us a vineyard tour and say on your way. They don't need to have us to their house for empanadas. They don't need to spend the extra time and come and see us on their day off to make sure we doing what we're doing. It was the hospitality was beyond anything I would have ever expected. And genuine. You can tell when people on these wine trips are just going through the motions because you're there, and then there's people who genuinely are excited to share what they're doing.
Absolutely. And I think winemaking is, let's be honest, I think we should just let's take a bit of an elephant in the room about winemaking, which is that the recent statistics for the global wine industry have come out in the last week, and it's not very pretty. Wine consumption globally is dropping quite substantially, and it's as some of us old dinosaurs
I'm doing my bit.
Dying off. Yeah, we're certainly doing our bit.
Do your bit.
Congratulations to everyone who's helping that. So wine is a thing you get into because of passion rather than because you're going to become a billionaire about it. But it is certainly there are some tough trends that the world's got to fight against, but it makes it more competitive and it makes it better value for us. And when we are able to drink something that delicious at a sensible price, I think it's a great thing. I can see that some people have finished wine number 3, but we do have one little question here, which I think is a great question. It's smooth for 2022 will it age? Now, there's enough acidity in the tannin, I think, to give it a few more years for sure.
It absolutely will age. But what I would like to do, I would like to put a pin in that question until we get to wine number 6, which is another wine from Dagas. And then we can have that conversation about aging potential depending on what he's done with the wine. Is that okay? Sense. Is everyone having a hold on that?
Yeah.
Lovely.
But you certainly don't need to. It's not like some of the whites where you absolutely really ought to drink it this year. Like, particularly Italian Pinot Grigio from Veneto. You want to drink that this year. You come back to it next year, it's just not as fresh. And it's similar for a lot of the Sauvignon Blancs.
Yeah. So there's a question: Will it get any better? Should it age? Can it age? Whatever. And we'll do that.
Okay.
In
cool.
a little.
All right. Well, I shall move the wine notes on to next wine, which we will get from a dispenser.
La Dispenser. Fantastic. Right. So this was the first wine that ended up on this tasting. This wine was on the tasting before I went to South America. because it got dropped off to me as a sample going, you should try this. This is cool. And I'm like, okay, it is a Cinso País Rusam Marsam blend from Chile, made by a bloke from Dorset.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give that a go.
Classic combination
that,
there. Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
that old badger. So I thought, okay, sometimes you see things like that and go, someone's just doing it for the sake of being different.
Yep.
And to be fair, after meeting Matt, he was just doing it for the sake of being different in the first place, because he doesn't want to be like anyone else. Like we had dinner with him. He makes a the words. So it's not a pet nat.
Colfondo.
He makes a colfondo, yes, which on the back said this is not a pet nat. So he makes a colfondo, which is kind of like this lightly sparkling style, which basically tastes like strawberries and cream. I'm like, well, it's not available in the UK at the moment, but you could have that in a pint glass on ice. But he was telling the story that he bought his house in Chile, was going to build a vineyard on it, and he really liked the idea of doing Tempranillo. So he was messing around thinking about Tempranillo, and the guy next door planted
Tempranillo.
So he said, no, that guy's got Tempranillo.
Screw
so
this.
I'm not going to plant
that.
Tempranillo. So he planted Sangiovese.
Sangiovese.
That good old
classic
Chilean thing.
Okay.
Sangiovese
Sangiovese also a grape which I find doesn't necessarily travel very well. I've had some pretty bad Sangioveses from outside of Italy.
Well, this is the story of going, I hadn't ever found a Chianti that I liked, so I thought I'd grow Sangiovese anyway and make my own. And the Sangiovese it's absolutely delicious. It's not the taste, but we have some in there on the website. So if you want to grab a bottle of Sangiovese from
I haven't tried that.
It is brilliant. One of the most opinionated winemakers I've ever met, but absolute genius.
Oh, they're all opinionated. It's just whether they tell you or not, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Very openly
opinionated. Yeah.
But it's very small. He does everything himself. He does the pruning. He does the harvesting. He does the whole lot. It's not English bloke gone somewhere else, bought a vineyard, and got the locals and labourers to do it for him. He does it all himself.
That's cool.
We've got a video, haven't we? We've always got a video.
Of course we have.
Well, when I get taken places, I'll make it good. You need to make this.
This is the okay. All right. Well, no, I can't push the button. Okay. Let's see what Matt has to say.
Hello, wine lovers. I just want to introduce our pool blend. That is me and my wife sitting by the pool on the label. So this is a blend of Cinso País Marsam and Roussanne. All the grapes from the Colchagua Valley. We were the very first to plant Cinso in the Colchagua Valley, so it's pretty unique. The País as well is very rare here in our valley. There's only about 50 hectares left in the entire valley from vines about 150 years old. Roussanne, Marsam, also not very common. It's what we do. We specialize in lesser known grapes from Chile. We don't do the boring Cabernet Sauvignon and stuff like that. We like fun, interesting, easy drinking wines, which is exactly what this is. You can pretty much drink it with anything. It's really versatile, goes great as an aperitif, works with any kind of food. So basically
sorry about that. When we did the rehearsal, we had a button to push to change the aspect ratio of the video, and it now has a thing saying, oh, you can't do that while you're actually streaming. So that's helpful. But this is a pretty bottle as well. Let's pull up the to the camera, and oh yeah, we're going to zoom in. So yeah, is that him and his lovely wife there?
It is on the pool.
Nice.
By the poolside, and there's a dog. They're very dog people, like the Sangiovese, and they've got a red blend as well, called their Redfield blend. That's not this red blend. That have dogs on the labels. So yeah, I think this for me is a wine that pairs with nothing but goes with everything. It's very flexible. You know, it's for anyone who wants to drink it. And you know, I did a little Instagram of this the other day, and I had people from a WhatsApp group who aren't as wine people as I am, to go, oh, so you think, oh, just get the wine and drink it with anything. That's good advice from a sommelier. Thanks, mate. But this really is. I think it showcases, you know, you could drink this slightly chilled if you wanted to. It's quite summer. You can drink it by itself. It could go with food. It's really, really,
and quite
really
cool
versatile.
winemaking as well. A bit of native yeast fermentation, open top bins and stainless steel. So again, just to give you that mixture of different things, and then flexi tanks before he goes into oak barrels, used oak barrels. So it's certainly not that heavy oak masking.
Well,
the fruit.
only about half of it goes in oak as well, about 50% in oak. So.
Yeah. And it is lovely to have labels with a story. You can see that they care about it a lot. It's definitely got that sort of, you know, you find this in, I'd say, a lot of the US smaller wineries, that kind of wonderful story of the people behind it and everything you make. And I think there is certainly a lot of it in the UK as well, in English wine. But when you get into English wine with those kind of cool stories, it tends to be quite pricey that you get those sort of characters, or the quality can be a bit variable. Variable is, I think, the way to say. But yeah, it's very fruit dominant. It's slightly carbonic on the notes. It's that little bit of the sort of confected fruit going on, a bit suddenly those sort of light cherry. It is distinctive.
And it's another one. It ticks the organic box as well for those who want to be all organic and those kind of good things.
Not organic certified, but doing all the right things, which is just a question of have they got the rubber stamp? And I think in many ways that's less important than finding someone who actually cares about it.
I think, for me, best practice is as important, if not better, than actually being rubber stamped, because that's me. You're doing it because you care about it, not because you're doing a checklist.
And it's funny, considering we've got a blend here of 4 different grapes, we aren't getting huge numbers of different tasting notes. So he says it's handpicked grapes and native yeast ferment. I don't know exactly what percentage of it, if any, is whole bunch. I would be surprised if there wasn't a little bit. I would guess it's not over the top.
I would guess at least the red grapes.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah,
I would say there's probably Cinsault's whole bunch, but I can find out for those who would love to know.
Yeah, but Marsanne and Roussanne, not classic ones to stick in to a red blend. We've seen them get done every now and then, and
Chateauneuf de Pape.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah,
so it's, Southern Rhone you can have, but it's really, when you go for those white grapes, it's usually something like Viognier going in there as a co-ferment with Syrah or something like that to lift the aromatics. There's also quite a big chunk that it's 10%. When you look at those Syrah Shiraz co-ferments, it's usually 2 or 3%. So it's a big chunk.
Well, he thinks that the white grapes give it a little bit of tropicality. I'm not sure I'm getting that. Of course, when you go looking for something, then you might start finding it. For me, it's almost like it's just a note that's perhaps making some of the red fruits be a little bit lighter, so more into that strawberry we've got some quite dark sort of cherry, really, and that dark cherry, almost sort of Black Forest Gatto kind of thing going on there. Dark chocolate again is one of the
kind of like crunchy, tangy kind of.
But yes, I think almost it's more like those white characters are just lightening the fruit a little bit. But I think it's a really interesting wine. And Cinsault on its own, again, it's not one that ever does that much for me. I think this does a lot more.
I think it's cool. And I think this is what Online Wine Tasting Club is all about. I don't think there's many people wandering into their wine merchant going, have you got a Chilean Cinsault Pais Roussanne Marsanne blend available? Made by an English guy. And
actually, I think there's one little phrase that is on here. Again, I'm just going to get that back up. Is our mad little project. I love that. That's it's not trying to be big and commercial. It's just, I know that he knows that this isn't something that is hugely commercial and is going to make him a billionaire. This is just a fun and slightly crazy little project, and it's what he wants to do. It's a labor of love.
So he's telling us that it's got a boutique hotel.
Oh,
Yeah, 2 rooms.
2 rooms.
Doesn't sound like a hotel.
That's
It's an Airbnb.
stretching the definition perhaps a touch, but yes.
But yeah, this was unfortunately wasn't a winery we got to visit. We had a dinner with him because he flew back in. He was out promoting his wine in the US and flew back in the night before and came and met us. So he got off the plane from Washington DC and landed with us.
Went to you, yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I just think his wines are cool. The Sangiovese is great, and I think it's stuff that people would go, should I, shouldn't I? And if you're should I, shouldn't I? You should. It's really, really good.
He says that these wines invite a second glass. I'm with him on that one. I think a lot of the Sansos on their own don't really. They just sort of.
And I think a lot of Chilean red, especially when you get into stuff with texture, it cries out for food, and it's got grippiness, and it's palate fatiguing, and it's difficult to go, I want more and more and more of it. This is very
fresh,
quaffable.
Yeah.
As I said, pairings, anything or nothing, really. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing that I drink that and go, that is a lock on for that particular dish. It's not. But this goes with whatever you want to have it with.
I apologise about my yawning. I'm not finding him boring. Well, not any more than usual, but look. Oh, I've been to all these cool places and someone else paid for it. Thanks. On the flip side, he's been having to try to manage the entire thing pretty much on his own for the last 2 weeks.
But I'm still here. So
he's still here, so that's all good. So wine number 5. Let's get cracking on. Are we going back to?
We are going back to Requinga. So we're going back to
You
Requinga.
had a Requinga photo here, which I didn't show, which is the 360 image. That's cool. I like that. What are we looking at? Requinga.
So that is the winery. It was my first moment with the drone. I put it up in the air and I pressed take 360.
Oh, really?
Take 360 photo.
Ah,
and so you got the winery in the middle, and then you can see over to the left is the housing where I stayed, and then over to the right is the middle of nowhere forest.
nice.
But
Well, that's
it's
very
a
cool.
360 topsy turvy kind of thing. So
360 topsy turvy. Sorry, let me move the tasting notes on. Are people enjoying these wines? Are there any surprises so far? Are we finding? I'd be fascinated to know actually. What were your views on Chilean wine going into this? Because the ones that I've tasted, I've never had a chance to taste anything super cool from Chile. It's always just been that kind of, here it is, a reliable, tasty, box ticking,
solid, fruit forward.
I'll give you an example. Well, there was is it the Mudhouse, the Sauvignon Blanc
That was New Zealand.
That was New Zealand. Then New
And
Zealand had a terrible vintage, and there wasn't enough Sauvignon Blanc produced, and the prices went through the roof. And so they subtly switched it to South African and Chilean Sauvignon Blanc for a large part of their production. And I don't think a huge number of the people who bought that stuff cared that much. It's still wine, it's still white, and it's still aromatic and fragrant. And it had always been that kind of safe zone. You go into a pub and there's a house Merlot from Chile. It possibly won't be very interesting. It'll be drinkable. It'll be good. It's in terms of that whole sort of classic. How do we evaluate what a wine is? Which wines are good? Which ones are excellent? Which are not? I mean, does an excellent job of being that really drinkable wine.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's not necessarily something where when you're scoring to the competition, you'd raise it to the thing. It's perfect typicity. But yeah, it was all about that sort of good quality, reliable, well made, and not necessarily I hadn't had any very interesting stuff. But that's obviously going to be unfair because we just, even when you look at stuff like the US wines, the stuff that it was generally coming in at those kind of entry level price points, the Sutter Homes, the all of that sort of entry level Californian Chardonnay and White Zinfandel, it does what it's supposed to do. But when you go there, of course, you find this incredible craft scene. So with that one, we're very much in that craft scene. This is a commercial winery. This is more like, in America terms, where you're going to like Trinchero, someone who makes a commercial wine, and then he'll uses that money to go and make fun stuff as well. So
Absolutely.
tell us about this one, the
So this is Torre de
Carignan.
Pedro. So we're the Queen of Sanguis that make Castantiago. So they've been around since 1961. They've been
Ooh,
which is quite a while.
ooh, that's nice.
Carignan is, I think, it's such a great grape. It's such a great grape that you don't see in too many places.
Ooh.
You know, a decent amount in Spain, a little bit in France. But I think it's rich. It's got spice. If you like Syrah with extra, if you don't want the jamminess of a Shiraz, but you like a Syrah, but you want a bit more fruit, this is my kind of wine. So this is Torre de Pedro, which is the Stone Bull. Did I put a picture of the Stone Bull on there?
Dunno.
Did I put Torre de Pedro? Did I do it? Did he do it? Yes. So that is the Stone Bull. So this is
There you go.
so you go up into the vineyage, you go up and you go up and you go up and you go up and you go up, and then you park your cars and then you walk over and you go past it. You go past this Stone Bull, and past that there is an outlook that looks back over. You see the Andes one way, coastal range the other, the vineyards in the middle. So
Those Andes.
that was
Is that the view from that very vineyard?
no, that was
Someone just stuck something that looks
someone
like a
put
plane.
flame in.
going.
So
Okay.
that was my photo flying in. Just insane. It looks like nothing else in the world. It's
Was that from the previous one?
oh yeah, that was from
Sorry, I've just found a photo that you've given us. So
that's fine. So that's
Matt's at the end there.
Matt's at the end there. I'm at the other end on the left,
Oh,
just
yeah,
to
so
prove
you
that I
are.
was there. But yeah, that's the bloke from Dorset. We had some
Nice.
dinner with his wines. So
I
that
was going to
more-
say he doesn't look
that
perhaps like
more of a holiday snap than anything. That
that's
one.
fair. That's fair.
So
Okay.
yeah, so this Stone Bull is there, and legend has it that bull is there to protect the vineyards.
Mhm. And this is you drinking Carignan.
That is drinking Carignan in the vineyard next to the
Carignan.
next to Carignan. So that is that wine in that glass.
That's cool. I haven't even drunk this yet. It smells fantastic. I'm really pleased. So these are really old vines, you know, pretty old vines, 40 plus years old, minimum of 40-year-old vines, and all Gobelets trade, which is this kind of the bush vine, as you call it, where it's all just about keeping it low, close to the ground, pruning all back to this sort of this head trained, and then it all springs out and forms your little bush, and you get your grapes. And a good thing to do when you've got lots of sunshine.
What's interesting in the base of the vineyards, there's they've got this lagoon that they've built that they pump from the river to keep water. So all the water is shared but charged for. It's a very interesting system, it seems. So if it goes through your land, you're paying for it. So you siphon it off and use it. If you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing.
What can we say? Someone didn't get the memo on who was being invited to this thing. To be fair, actually, this is probably balancing out every other wine tour that you've been on, where, for example, the last one you went to Alsace, weren't you the only man there?
Yes.
So I think on average it aggregates out that there is certainly a good gender representation, but perhaps this one was a little bit more male dominated. I'm not quite sure why.
I didn't make the selection.
You didn't make the selection, yeah.
I just went on the invite. But you can just see from this, you know, I can't
look at
even
those
read the
tasting notes,
tasting notes from that, but now I can. But yeah,
Leather,
just aged,
yeah.
this leathery, this tertiary kind of flavour. Yeah, it's 2021 vintage, so it's not
No, it's not
old
hugely
by any
old,
stretch of the
no.
imagination. But it's got this lovely chewiness. It's got this lovely fruit.
Ooh, that way. Grand Reserve.
And once again, you know, you
What
go
technically does Grand Reserve mean?
in Chile. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. There you go. But
Well,
we like it. This is something we believe is a good wine. Again, sustainably made, vegan, estate bottled, and their facility, as you said, was pretty substantial and phenomenal. Yeah, really, really cool. I like that. A great companion for a risotto of wild fungi. That is not a classic South American dish, I would suggest.
But if you wanted someone to really tell us about the wine, you know who I'd pick?
Would it be me?
No, I'd pick the winemaker.
Oh, okay. Which one's that?
That one. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, all right. Video.
Hello everybody, my name is Benoît Fitte, winemaker at Vignare Quingua, and there is our Carignan Toro de Piedra. This Carignan is coming from Maule Valley to the coast. Old vineyard, planted in 1976. Dry farming, that's very important. And this variety is very, very interesting in Chile because it produces wine fresh, complex, elegant, and tense. Try it.
Well, we're certainly trying it, that's for sure. And I'm greatly enjoying this one. Yeah.
So Benoit, obviously not native to Chile. So Frenchman who's been over, went over. I think he said he was 21, 22 when he first went over.
Oh wow, okay.
So he's been there a couple of years.
Yeah.
And he was a guy. He took us round. He showed us ropes. He told us everything there was to know that we could ever want, and just nothing was too much trouble. Do you want to try this? Do you want to see that? Do you want to do that again? And just absolutely fantastic, an absolutely fantastic guide as well as winemaker, and he's just getting us involved, making sure we saw what we wanted to see. And I think there's a lot of people. You've been on a wine trip and you walk into the barrel room, you see the barrel room.
Oh, look, it's some barrels. Okay,
some
what
barrels.
can you tell us about these barrels? Is there something fun, interesting going on?
We got to see Pinot Noir getting unloaded and go through the crusher de-stemmer, and this is coming in now, so you need to be here for this. Let's get your high vis jackets on, because it's, and you walk into it, and as I said, like when I talked earlier, you go into this little bit in the front, you think there's and then you go and you got these like 20-ton lorries just turning. You're like, holy, it's. I've never walked around such a
big scale
commercial
operation. Yeah, well, because
operation in my life.
The thing is that the thing about wineries is that it's quite funny. There was a winery that I very nearly bought just down the road from where I live, and it had a house attached to it. I'd love to have bought it, but it didn't happen. But it started me off on this journey, and when they went through the planning process, because it was in a little village in Hertfordshire, the locals went to the High Court and insisted that they had full soundproofing put in on this tiny little 5-acre winery, 5-acre vineyard and small craft winery. Their expectation was that there was going to be the clanking of bottles 24 hours a day and big mechanical sort of production lines, whereas in reality, in a 5-acre vineyard, but it was, a few people going around with grape scissors picking fruit once a year,
which we did
once, and then it would go into a crushed December, and then it would be silently fermenting, and occasionally might get pumped from one tank or barrel to another. And then when it comes to bottling, of course there might be a bottling line involved, but this happens once a year. So wineries are for most of the year very, very peaceful places, and then for a couple of months, maybe 3 months, it goes absolutely crazy. Yes, and so you were lucky enough to be there at the crazy time. Now, Magda, absolutely, they are definitely more like concrete baubles. I mean, you can get all sorts of shapes of these wonderful concrete tanks, like tulips we've seen. Definitely eggs.
Oh yeah, tulip. Puripan is tulips.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. People are doing just square boxes.
Square boxes, yeah. I mean, that's quite a classic. And a lot of the French wineries use those. But the whole thing about why do people use concrete? It holds the heat. It maintains a steady temperature. When all of the yeast are doing their job of fermenting wine, it is an exothermic process. They are eating sugar, and it's like they're exercising. Basically, they're doing an exercise for us to turn that sugar into alcohol, and that generates heat. So the all of the juice, all the must, all the skins of the grapes and everything starts getting hotter and hotter. And so if you're in a stainless steel tank, you generally have a jacket around it through which you pump a liquid, which will cool it down or heat it up, depending on what you're trying to do at that particular time, but to maintain it at a steady temperature. Concrete does that naturally without any energy usage. It's a great thing. And when you've got those rounded shapes, it lets the convection currents just mix things around. So you aren't
bits don't get stuck in the corners.
Get stuck in the corners where they overheat. Exactly. And yeah, it reduces perhaps a little bit of the punching down and pumping over of the juice that you need to do.
Softer.
It's softer, yeah.
So that's my universal sign for softer, apparently.
Softy. And I think the only other thing to just to mention on that is something I've forgotten. No, oxygen, which is that people love barrels for oxygen because they let in a little bit of oxygen, not too much so it messes everything up. But remember, you can do the fermentation of a wine in open top fermenters. You want oxygen to be there for the yeast. That's one of the things they need at the start of the process. But when they've stopped going through that heavy oxygen consumption, you want to then reduce the contact of oxygen so it doesn't start attacking the delicate aromas and flavors. But you do need a little bit of oxygen. So concrete, like oak, allows in a little bit of oxygen, but it doesn't give you any of the flavor. It's not changing the flavor.
It's still neutral.
It's neutral. It's giving it some of the nutrients that it needs, well, the oxygen that it needs to do its process. And particularly with red wine, that's very important. Concrete lost favor. Yeah, very, very good point. It really did. It's harder to clean. It's just harder to work with. They're big and heavy.
Heavier to move. Transport is tough.
Yeah.
Drop it breaks.
Yeah. So yeah, it's starting to come back into fashion now as a more kind of almost like stone natural kind of thing to do. So a very cool wine. This has 12 months in French oak barriques. So having talked about the concrete tanks, I'm not sure this one's using it, but
To be fair though,
yeah,
if you had that as your backdrop to do your video in front of, I'd be standing in front of that instead of a stainless steel or a oak barrel.
right.
Look at my new concrete bauble.
Quite right too. Well, I think that's delicious. That's the best Carignan I've tasted, I think.
What, tonight or?
No, I don't think I've had that many single variety Carignans that are any better than that at all. Let's have another little look at that. Yeah, beautiful mixture of fruit, your primary flavors there, things like leather and pepper, which are more of those kind of, well, leather's a bit more age related, and pepper and I'm just trying to see now, badger, I'm not sure which flavor that comes under, but cocoa's
It's
little bit of
wine five. I don't think we've had a
ingredient.
wine 5 in the last 2 years that doesn't have a badger in the flavour. There's never badgers in wine 1, 2, or 3, is there?
It's
But, you know,
tradition.
it gets there.
But cocoa, berries, it's a cool one. This one definitely has that kind of grippiness to develop a bit more and start tasting even more into those kind of leathery things. But I think right now it is in a great place, isn't it?
Well, it's delightful. You know, could it age? Yes, but if it ages, it's going to get
It'll lose
more
that
of that
fruit.
leathery in that. And
Yeah.
that depends what you like.
Yeah.
I like fruit. I like my New World fruity wines. You know, I probably drink New World wines younger than you should, but that's how I like them. I like big.
You like
gabby-
them young.
Don't.
Oh dear, it reminds me
Right.
of one of Lee's stories, our good friend
Anyway.
Lee, but I'm not going into that
No,
one.
we're
Yeah.
not. Okay, right. You need to
Oh god, I'm gonna give you back my white wine glass.
save that for later. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
what we're
know.
going to do with this is
Slowing down.
Mr. Taylor is going to move on the tasting
Oh,
notes, and I'm going to pour this.
They should. Let's talk to WSET and get them to categorize the Badger tasting note, whether it's primary, secondary, or tertiary.
It should be its own
It
cluster.
should be its own quaternary.
Okay, so
So we go back to daggers.
this is Dagas Colwicab. I am going to say nothing about this right now because what I want everyone to do
Oh.
is I was going to do another silly voiceover video, but I didn't. So I have got
Definitely not laziness.
I have got a video of I scripted it and everything, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
decided what I want you to do is sit with this glass of wine, sip it. This video is where it's from, where it's made, how it is. So enjoy the wine for a couple of minutes while soaking in the sights of where it was made, and then we'll come back
Okay.
and we'll talk about it.
Good drone work, mate. That's nice work. I like it. I mean, you really get a sense of the steepness of climbing up to that point,
Yeah,
don't you?
absolutely. And it is. And I was saying while that video was on to Alex, it's like I'm going back to that 360 degrees beauty is just it's insane. You're the absolute middle of nowhere, sat at the top of that vineyard, drinking this wine is just it's something else. So this is back to Dagas.
Yeah, and I love that first one. This is obviously
so this is
quite a
Colway. So
different-
this is from
it's cab,
from a single parcel, and this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, and a little bit older. This is 2019 vintage.
interesting. So we're 21 miles away from the Pacific at this point, and up to about 240 meters above sea level, 780 feet.
Which is quite high for Chile.
It is, yeah.
What's really weird is Chile, and I think did I put the thing in here? I did, didn't I? That you kind of see if anyone's got their brochure on the topography. You've got the coastal ranges that it then drops back in, and you're 200, 300 feet. Sorry, meters. And then suddenly you hit the Andes, and you're like
goes,
thousands.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you hit the Andes, you done. It's the Andes. Stood in Chile, looking at the Andes, it looks like a bloody wall. You know what I mean? It's like
Sorry.
So you're relatively high for Chile, but Chile you're nowhere near as high as anything in Ireland. When we talk about Argentina,
We're not in the
you're not
Valle de Uco.
1100 meters above sea level. You're pushing 1100 feet if you're lucky.
Yeah. No, it's that's really interesting. So it does look arid. Now, generally speaking, when we're talking about the Andes, where we see that the damp airs are coming in from the Pacific, and it drops its rain on the Chilean sides, but it's still not wet, is it? Like, especially at that time of year. So
well, you've got the coastal range, which is that first rain shadow. So that drops. That will drop the first bit of rain coming off the Pacific, and then you'll get that second drop when you get to the Andes. But you've not got huge amounts going up the Andes. You've got that kind of coastal range in the middle. You're going into the foothills of the Andes, but you're not, because it's so steep. It's not plantable really going up. Sorry, this is me doing the Andes like this now.
Fine. Yeah, don't worry.
But yeah, you have wind whipping down because you've got that valley between the two mountain ranges.
Now, in contrast to the last one, if we're going to talk about the way that the vines are actually grown, these ones are trellised. So it's on a much more conventional trellising system, obviously lower than you'd find in a cool world climate like the UK. But it is also cane pruned, which is quite a different sort of process to that sort of gobelet method, and is sorry, where am I? I've just lost my viticulture. So yes, cane pruned on a VSP system. So all of the shoots go vertically up, and it gets really good for a nice even growth of that. And with the cane pruning, you replace that sort of horizontal element of the vine every single year, which again is a sign that you generally do that in slightly damper climates. So while it looked quite arid there, I wonder what it's like in other years, because I suspect that that's something you generally, it's a lot more effort. Like if you're spur pruning, you go along the cordons.
They're getting a decent amount of water in the
spring,
winter and spring.
Yeah, okay.
And you get a lot of water. You get a lot of water in the ground because you've got the Andes melt.
Yeah.
Out the back of Requinga, they've got these gullies dug, because if they didn't have the gullies dug, everything would flood.
Yeah. And when you've got that water, not only does it do flooding and stripping the groundwater away, but it also just the general presence of that dampness in the vineyard.
And then as it warms, it's humidity, and you can get rot and
it's starting to get into sort of like quite serious trunk diseases within the vine itself. So if you're replacing that wood every single year, it is more effort. And so this is definitely much more associated with really the higher quality levels of wine. This is the kind of pruning that you do in England, in potentially more in places like sort of the northern parts of Burgundy. And and yeah, it is more work, but it's that's why it's not done so often. So there's a lot of work going on in the vineyard. They also do some quite intriguing things here. They age it, so they do a 7-day cold soak where they cool down all of the grapes, and it's all been sort of crushed at this point, but all of the grape matter is in there as well as the juice, and so that just helps it cool down, extract gently some of those flavors out from it, and then you allow it to warm up and some fermentation going. It's aged for 6 months in older French barrels, so there's a little bit of that oak character to it, and then it goes into 12 months
Massive
in
barrels.
massive 2,500 litre untoasted French barrels. So toasting is where you blast the inside of the barrels with fire effectively, and you kind of you cook it, and that can give you some more sort of nutty and caramelly flavors that are going on. We had a great slide I'll dig out at some point, but untoasted 2,500 litre French oak casks. There's some care going into this, isn't there?
Yeah, I just think this is brilliant wine. And once again, when we get round to the prices, we've got an expectation of what a Chilean wine should cost because it's Chile, which needs to go out the window. You compare the quality of these to what you would pay anywhere else in the world for the same quality of wine. I think that's that. Yeah, and that's a cracking wine. When we're talking about Cabernet Sauvignon, it quite often has this slightly green character to it. Or by green, we mean that sort of green bell pepper, capsicum.
That sort of, and when that is not ripe enough, that can be quite unpleasant. When it's overripe, you lose a little bit of that freshness it gives you. That's just perfect. It just lifts it. It just raises it up, and I think it's really, really, really lovely. Yeah, when you smell it, that freshness just hits you, but not to the point where it's like, because that green smell and flavor is designed to stop you from eating underripe fruit, because if it's underripe, it's not done the job of ripening the seeds. And so from an evolutionary point of view, that green flavor is there to discourage you from consuming it. And in the same way that bitterness is. So
where I want to go here now is, we had the conversation a little bit earlier about aging,
yeah.
Two very different wines, and I know one's a blend and one's 100%. But bear in mind, the Colway is 3 years older. So the Colway is 3 years older, and I think this is something that I would age for another 3, 4, 5 years, and it would get better because it's got so much fruit there.
Yeah, tons of fruit, and the tannins are still quite grippy. So yeah.
So I would let this hang out for another few years before I drank it, potentially. It's still very drinkable now, of course it is. The Camino you could, but I wouldn't. The Camino I think is for...
It's just so bang on right now, isn't
drink it as it is now. And...
If you waited a year, it would still be great, wouldn't it? I mean, it would still be fantastic. Maybe even 2 years, still fantastic.
Oh, it's not going anywhere.
No.
But I don't think it's going to turn into a spectacular monster. Go, oh wow, you've got to let this sit for 5 years. And it'll be great.
It's not a Brunello di Montalcino, for example.
Whereas this will develop, I think, in much more fun ways. He also has a wine that's maybe, I say, slightly more expensive. This called Pumanque, which is from the Pumanque vineyard area, which is where that drone shot is. That's Pumanque.
Yeah.
Which is a blend of lots of different plots from around Pumanque, which is absolutely delicious. It's more Bordeaux-y in style.
Yep. So it's got a little bit of some of the other Bordeaux varieties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Petit Verdot and things.
Yeah. My thought is the Camino, get on with it, open it, drink it, and have fun with it. This, open it, drink it, have fun with it, or it's something. Buy a case of it and just see how it goes over the next few years.
If you were to crack that open and have it with like some beautiful ribeye steak, it would be stunning right now, right from the word go, and absolutely delicious. I mean, that's got a Tim Atkin 96 points on it. I would just note Tim Atkin, Master of Wine.
To be fair, when I was at the Dagras dinner, I sat next to Tim talking about this wine.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
He's a big fan of these guys.
Should Ian by the Tierras de Pumanque.
Oh, Ian, that's a very good question. Do you
Pumanque.
know what you
Okay.
could buy? You got a QR code for it.
Oh.
So
God.
we
Okay,
may
all
or may not have 5 wines from Dagas. So we have
right. Oh, look.
the Camino. Then he has a single Carmenere Granito series because of the granite, a Cab granite series, a bottle of the Colway, and a bottle of the Pumanque in a little
Nice.
5-pack case ready to rock and roll.
And if you add another single bottle on, then there's enough that you
there's-
can
there-
put in
there's
one
room
of
to
your
get
favourites.
one of your favourites in
Was
there.
that why you did that, or was that just because they were your 5 wines that you wanted?
Those were my 5 Dagas wines, and hey, 6 fits in a box. But if you want to put a good set together, you don't have to fill all 6.
No,
But there we
true.
go. But yeah, the wines are spectacular, and
They are. Those are really good. So
cool
that is
thing to go.
lovely,
So-
and a lovely story. Nice people, quite clearly, even though they fed you, which is,
Oh, that's what's important. That's what's important.
But I love this list. And we got Morello, Chellies, Morello. Oh, do you know what? You should talk. I'm going to shut up.
Are you able to skip back through? Can you skip back through that just to compare it to the Camino?
Let's
Can we
find
do that?
out.
Wine 3.
Wine 3.
So if we look at this, much more big fruit forward. You got the fruit flavors, little bit of leather, little bit of spice, and then if we jump back to where we're at now,
Wine 6. Yeah.
much more complex, grippy tannins, dark chocolate, Morello cherry. We've got
Aged beef. I love that.
Badger.
Yeah, and the menthol, that green freshness again.
So
yeah.
when you just look at those 2 sets of tasting notes side by side, you see which one is there for the drinking and which one's there for the hanging out and that complexity.
And ultimately, it's all about the story of these wonderful people making it great wines in a cool place that we don't normally get to shout about. So that's why I'm glad that you did split it into 2 different tastings. And Argentina, we'll come back to, because we haven't actually done it for a while, have we?
I've not been there,
but
though.
you've not been there yet. So if anyone happens to own a winery and wants to invite Jamie out,
I'll bring my own BYOD.
BYOD,
bring your own drone.
Yeah,
so
excellent.
do you think it's time for the quiz?
I think it is time for a quiz. Because it would be rude not to.
So we will give you a minute to get in.
Yeah.
While we get in,
I'm going to drink the wine.
You drink about the wine. I'm going to talk about something that has come across my desk in the last week, because everyone has talked about an online wine tasting club winery trip. Yes? So it has come across my desk. Someone has approached me about doing a France River cruise, as a river wine cruise. Flying into Marseille, going to Avignon, up through Châteauneuf-du-Pape, up to Hermitage, up into Burgundy, and that's it. So I've not got massive amounts of detail on it yet, but if anyone fancies it, likes the idea, we're basically going to try and get a little cohort. He says I need at least 10 people to make it worthwhile.
A 7-night cruise on the striking SS Catherine. Ooh, yeah. Excursions, 6 days of excursions, fully hosted by English-speaking local experts. Use of bicycles and walking sticks if you're Jamie and have bugged up your leg with another sports injury. 4 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Doesn't sound horrible at all. I love Avignon. I love Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I could take or leave Burgundy, as you know. So
there we are. If you like,
I might just, okay.
Ignore that though.
Yeah,
that's not right.
Okay, cool. Well,
if you like the idea, give us a shout. Because yes, they're talking about doing something summer 2026. So you don't need to decide today or tomorrow, but there's thoughts. But there we go. Anyway, that should give everyone
permission from.
You're not invited.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That should give everyone enough time to get their names into the quiz, I think.
Yep. Okay. All right. So let's have a look at the quiz. And yes, we definitely feel a trip coming on. So we are going to move it on to question number 1. Are we ready? Question 1. Chilean winemakers revived which grape variety, once nearly extinct, that originated in Spain, but now is making a comeback in the Maule and Itata valleys? Is it Pais?
It's almost like I've done a serious question, isn't it?
This is quite serious. Pais, Syrah, Grenache, or Tempranillo?
Temperamental.
I think the key question about this is who ate all of one of those grape varieties. 50% think País.
43% Tempranillo. I suppose Spain would be the clue,
Spain is a clue,
but it's not.
but it is who ate or drank all the País.
País.
Cool. Harry in the lead. Now remember, speed is definitely as important as accuracy.
It's probably second
slightly
to
less.
accuracy.
Yeah.
Second to accuracy.
Being wrong is definitely more critical. Okay. Question number 2. Which unique feature is often found in Chilean wine blends, especially the reds from Colchagua? Is it the inclusion of Malbec and Pinotage? Is it the blending of Carmenere with Bordeaux varieties? Is it a high percentage of Zinfandel? Or is it the use of dried grapes a la Amarone?
You're ad-libbing now.
I am. Yes. I'm surviving on adrenaline and jet lag.
It's good for you.
Yeah. All right. Lots of people think it is the use of Carmenere together with Bordeaux varieties, and they are correct.
The people for the win.
Which leaves Harry in the top place again. That's fantastic. Question number 3. What is the main challenge of viticulture in the Atacama region of northern Chile? Is it lack of water, too much rain, risk of frost, or volcanic eruptions?
Or all of the above.
All of the above.
That's not an option.
Or is it lots of salt, which also is a challenge in that region? But yeah, not on this one. It's not the main challenge. We got lots of people think it's the lack of water in the Atacama Desert.
Which it would be.
Yes. Okay.
The
yes.
driest place in the world. It can go 10 years at a time with no rain.
Crikey. Harry remains
Harry's
in the
flying.
lead only by
Close.
2 seconds. This is all good stuff. Okay, we're cracking on. At which competition was Jamie judging yesterday? Was he at Decanter?
We're just seeing who's following me on Instagram.
Well,
now,
that's a
aren't
good.
we?
Yeah, it's basically all paying attention to you. Stalking you.
Or neither.
Decanter, IWC, the People's Choice Wine Awards, or the IWSC, the International Wine and Spirits Competition. People's Choice is the leading one, so that's going to change this because I have a feeling that it was the International Wine.
I was at IWC yesterday. Yes, I was.
Because Jamie's not a person, so he doesn't classify hang on, you did judge at People's Choice.
I have judged at People's Choice Awards. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right,
not yesterday.
Kathy into the lead. Oh, that was a divisive question. Full marks there. Bravo. Okay, what is the name of the cold ocean current that brings cool air to Chile's coastal vineyards? Is it El Nino? Is it the Humboldt Current? Is it Pacific Drift? Or is it Andes and Chill? No, sorry, Andes Chill. It's probably I have no idea.
It's probably one of the top
probably
three.
one of the top 3, isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
Andes, chill,
Andy is chilled out.
I try. There's the Nina, the Humboldt, the Pacific. Someone went for Andes.
I actually don't know.
It's the Humboldt.
It's the Humboldt Current.
Goes all the way up and then up past California.
And it doesn't like to brag about it either. Anyway, the next question, I don't know what question we're on now. Chile's long wine-growing region stretched from the Atacama Desert in the north to what region in the south? Patagonia, Osorno, Bio, Tierra. You're just making these up. Tierra del Fuego.
Or none of the above.
Or none of the above, and Jamie's just full of nonsense. Bio sounds like some latest dance craze or something. Okay, Patagonia is a what?
Bye.
Really?
It's the furthest south region. Patagonia is an area, but Bio is your furthest south region.
I'm sorry if I put you off there. I had no idea. Okay, well, there you go. At least I'm in the majority of people. Kathy remains in the lead. Wow. Undefeated. That's impressive. That is impressive. So which natural feature helps protect Chilean vineyards from the horrible bug known as phylloxera, which nibbles at your roots and kills your vines if you don't have a vine breed which has grown up in the presence of phylloxera, such as the ones what are used from most rootstocks these days? I can't remember which one they are. Vitis riparia, Vitis.
Sorry, they've all finished.
I don't know. All of the above.
Correct. So
it is correct.
Desert in the north, Andes on the east, ocean on the west.
There you go. Kathy remains. This is a good showing. This is a good showing. Is that? Oh, now what? What drink has Jamie got in his glass here? Is it a natural sparkling wine such as a Pet Nat or a Col Rondo? Col Rondo was the Rondo grape-based Col Fondo grown in a Welsh sheep
Wales,
farm.
yes.
French 75, Pisco Sour, or a Pina Colada. It could be any of those, to be fair. But 50% going for the Pisco Sour. They are correct.
And some people thinking I'm drinking a Pet Nat.
Yeah. You don't know, Jamie. It wouldn't be top of his list. But if you were handed one, you would politely.
Exactly. That
clink
was
with
me
it.
on a Pisco Sour.
Pisco Sour. Which grape variety is used in Chile's traditional version of Pisco? Whoa. Muscat, Comnier, Chardonnay, or Carignan? Je ne sais pas.
Okay.
As the French would
Yes,
say,
I
a
know.
certain I don't know what.
Okay.
Well, I'm all intrigued
here
to
we
know.
go.
Lots of people say Muscat.
There's a bit for Muscat, a bit for Carignan, there's a bit of it. It
They
is
are
Muscat.
correct. I did not know
And
that.
what have we got?
Kathy, congratulations. I have to say you get a special prize for 100% there. So bravo, well done. That is very impressive. The hardest question was, of course, bio or bio.
Oh, well, you know.
Excellent. So we are on to the wonderful question of wines of the night, which I like to turn the thingy off so that we don't interfere with the results as they're going. I can't remember how to do that. That's there now, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. They've moved it all around, ain't they?
So while that vote's happening, we've got
Yeah,
another
what's coming up next? Oh,
well,
Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Yeah. More
Uruguay.
More holiday snaps from Mr. Smith.
Uruguay. That takes us into May. And then what are we
It's
doing
Ray,
after?
isn't it? It's the
Yes, we are
yeah.
having our Tame and Master of Wine joining
Tame
us.
Master
Ray
of Wine.
O'Connor will be joining us on our, what is, believe it or not, our 100th live show.
Yeah. Quite how that's happened, I don't know, but there we go.
So-
Thank you for bearing with
So
us.
you've nearly got to 100.
100 shows, my
I know.
word.
So,
That would be quite a celebration.
We're yet to quite be on what the theme will be, but Ray O'Connor will be joining us, and it might just be cool wines that we love that you might not have had before.
I think the one that seems to be coming to the head is a bit of a sort of what the people who have access to all of the wines in the world like to drink that you might not have heard of, and to have such talent as Ray, who used to select all of the wines for Naked Wines, and I have to say we've dealt with Naked Wines now for a long time. Their selection of wines have beautiful typicity and a great value for money, and so it's such a.
Why are you saying that just before we put the prices
That's
up?
why we
on
put the
ours?
price up. They are. Ray did a fantastic job, and he's now helping us. So that's pretty cool. So 100. I know, isn't that crazy? Been worth every watch. Thanks, Sam, and thank you, Kathy. And the first one, yeah, we've had. In fact, we had our very, very first one was New Zealand
and
/ England, because that was the pre-launch one, but we did include that one. But yeah, it's been a lot of tastings.
Okay,
And
should we
so
see?
let's have a look at the results.
Fan's favourite.
It is. Wow, that's very, very interesting. I'm not surprised by that. So the first place by some distance is the Dagaz Colway Cabernet Sauvignon.
It's because everyone drank it watching that video.
Well, naturally, but the El Camino was not far behind, and everything is pretty close. What I like there is that the Casa Santiago Sauvignon Blanc, a really nice, decent quality, good value wine, is there right at the top as well. But everything's super close, so that's incredibly cool. There aren't any more questions, are there?
No,
That's it. So I'll say let's have a look at it. That's a lot of wines we've done. Well, yes, 600 wines, but pretty much, isn't it? So plus advent calendars.
Plus
and
advent
whatnot,
calendars, yeah.
So the price is. Casa Santiago is now, thanks to Rachel Reeves, the price has gone up slightly, but we've tried to keep some of our entry-level prices there below £10. It's getting harder with the duty increases, but we're doing our best. £9.71. The Clos du Lol, white blend, £23. but again, compare it to your white Bordeaux's with a serious quality like that. That's good. I think the absolute standouts there are the fact that you've got a wine as beautiful as that Dagaz Colway at £35, but the Camino at because you asked me how much I pay for that, and I say
you would have
I said
paid
that was
Colway
about-
prices.
I said it was about £30. That's where I was going with, because again, if you're buying that quality wine from elsewhere in the world, that's what you'd be paying. So £15.95 is a bargain. Now, if it says we're out, I think we've got it set to sell when out of stock. We can
I need to change it. We can get loads of it.
we can get loads of it in a couple of days. So I will make sure that is set right now. So yeah, beautiful wines, really great prices.
And if you like the Santiago Sauvignon Blanc that a lot of people said they liked, check out the. I know it's a different grape, but check out the Pinot Noir and the Merlot.
Yeah,
They're in that ilk.
Yeah, Jamie pitched the Pinot Noir in a live blind tasting against a Premier Cru
40 quid Burgundy.
which I picked, and people preferred that. Ray's Fine and Wine Clubs and the Thirsty Thursdays or whatever it was were brilliant at Naked. The Camino is a bargain. I will stand by that. I think that is a cracking wine. So enjoy, and if you would like to buy them, we've got there QR code. So I hope that goes to the right place.
That goes to the right place. I've done that one. And if you liked it and you just want a bottle of each, there's a case price as well.
Oh, happy days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many.
So many ways.
We're too many pop-ups. It's like a bad website.
Yeah, it's like going back to like 1998, and you've clicked on some virus-ridden website with. 15
So next one we're doing Uruguay, which I'm really excited by. I'm really excited for the sheer fact that I came back and I'm like, I actually need to do 2 different tastings. Some really cool, fun stuff coming out of there just to showcase. And I think it's another chance. I knew very little, if anything, about Uruguay before I went there, and to be able to come back with a bit of knowledge has been great. But I think that was fun. And you know, I'm spoiled that I got the opportunity to get out there and go and do it and be there and bring back what I saw, tasted, and learnt.
It's part of the world I've never been to, and is a gaping hole that I need to go. I've got to go. I've got to, and I think you should too. So get out there, get to Valladolid, go and see Kathy, and Friday sorted food. Yes.
Oh yeah, we'll be in the chat.
We'll be in the chat.
We're not live, but we're
live.
in the chat. Say hi.
That'll be fun.
But that's it. Unless you like drone shots, because we've got one more. Have a great night.
Take care. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.